Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday. I can't believe it, because it's taken like a year. But tonight, we finished Fruits Basket. Fruits Basket is a anime that we started, I'm not exactly sure when specifically, but I think it was like a year ago.
Yeah.
Just about a year ago. And we've been watching it pretty sporadically, if you couldn't tell, because it's taken us this long to actually watch the whole thing.
But we timed it good because the final episode came out less than a week ago.
We timed it amazing. The final episode came out yesterday, and we watched it today.
Okay.
So we timed it really well because, we weren't trying to space things out. We have very leisurely been watching it. At the start, we were kind of watching it every night, and then we slowly just pushed it, it got a little bit further out where we were watching one a week. But yeah, they were still releasing it. We've been watching it on Crunchyroll, and the last one came out yesterday. So we finished it. It's 3 seasons, and Fruits Basket, this is a remake because they originally made an anime of it how long ago? A long time ago?
I don't remember the year, the 2000s.
And it's based on a manga, but it's the same situation where the first time they made the anime, the manga wasn't done.
Yeah.
So now they were like, crap. Why is so many... they did that. That happened all the time.
Did that with Trigun and a bunch of others.
So many things. They're like, the books aren't done, so we'll just... whoops, I guess we messed that up. Anyway, we finished watching it, and today we're going to be talking about it a little bit. The beginning of this video will be spoiler free, so we'll just kind of be telling you about the show and our thoughts on the show in a general sense, and then we'll turn on the spoiler flag so everyone that doesn't want to be spoiled can leave. So first things first, what is Fruits Basket? It is a drama with comedic elements, about a girl who
gets involved with a family.
Gets involved with a big family.
Yeah.
And the show basically surrounds her life and then the lives of those closest to her. There's a lot of characters to follow, which, made it a little difficult for me because there's a lot of characters. There's your primary character, Toru, but then you also have got 13 other somewhat important characters.
14.
And 14 other somewhat important characters, and then other characters even outside of that you really kind of need to know.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially early on, there was a lot of so who's this? And then, actually later on too, where they haven't shown a character in several seasons, and then be like, who is that? What relation do they have to the whole story? So there's a fair bit of that.
I knew what was happening because I read it when it came out in English, for the first time with the translation. So I knew the whole plot, and I knew the characters beforehand, so they weren't new to me.
It's got It's kind of slice of life about high school, but also it's got a lot of somewhat supernatural elements to it. And it is very much a drama. It's very much tug at your heartstrings. This thing happens. Oh no, this thing happens. Oh, this is sad. But the thing I like most about it, the thing I like least about it is the comedy, actually, because when the show is at its best, when it's doing drama, when it's doing these little twists and turns, and honestly dealing with some really heavy subject matter, there's a lot of abuse in the show, and when it's dealing with that, it is at its best because it keeps you interested. It is at its worst when it's trying to do some of its comedy. It keeps things lighthearted for the most part. But some of the best way I could explain this is that in some older animes, or even just animes from the 90s or whatever, there's this, I don't know how to, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's this element of comedy where people just have to fight and like scream and yell, and like I'm just not into that. I understand that that's kind of like an older anime thing, but like
it's really only prevalent in the first season.
True. And the 3 seasons are actually pretty different. The show gets better as it goes on, for sure, because in season 1 there's a lot of that, and it was hard for me in season 1 because I was like, because randomly the people would just fight, and I'm like, why are you fighting? It's not even a show about fight. Just, no, we gotta fight. And I'm like, okay. And then they're screaming it. But as it goes on, it does get better. The second season deals more with some of the the mature elements and stuff. And then by the time you get to season 3, things are getting really heavy. So like, if you start watching it and you get halfway through season 1 and you're like, all right, I'm still pretty interested, then the good news is it gets better than that. So that would be my my recommendation is keep watching, because it does start to explain stuff, and when you are learning about the family and the secrets of the family, like that's the best part. Absolutely. But overall, it was good. I don't regret watching it. I know Chaz was worried about me watching it. He's like, I don't think you're gonna like it, and he was wrong. I did like it, although season 1 was a little difficult at times because it felt like it was season 1 is like 90% comedy and drama with 10% of this like little hints of like, oh, that's weird, what oh, why did they say that, that's strange. But it was just enough to keep you interested, and then as you get into season 2, it's like, oh, there's a lot of weird things happening, why is this happening, oh, you shouldn't do that. So like, that was good. But overall, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I enjoyed being able to watch it and see the things they're putting in as foreshadowing.
Yeah.
So I thought that was nice.
And you've seen the show that came out?
I saw the original show when it came out.
Yeah.
In English, with the Funimation translation.
Yeah, and we watched the
subtitled version for the new one. And they got a lot of the same voice actors from the original English to do the new one.
Oh, that's cool.
I think almost all but 1 or 2. But it was on Funimation and we have Crunchy, so.
Yeah. It's fine. I didn't mind watching the sub anyway. Some people have really strong opinions about sub versus dub. I don't care at all, really, not even a little bit. But we watched the sub and I was like, it's fine. I'm trying to think of like what other things I want to say during the spoiler-free section. I don't really have anything. Yeah. Like it's overall I liked it. The beginning is slow, but there's just enough to keep you interested, and I enjoyed it. It's only 3 seasons, and now they're all out. So if you want to watch them, you can. It's on Crunchyroll, and then Funimation's got the dub. So check it out.
I learned today they're doing a spin-off, and I'm not sure if it's the tiny little sequel that doesn't really involve any of the same characters or plot devices. Or if I heard it was supposed to be a spin-off about Toru's parents, but I'm not sure. I just heard things. I didn't see any official.
Okay. Anyway, that's the spoiler-free section. I'm now going to put up the little spoiler card so folks know if you don't want to be spoiled, you should leave. Have you left? Okay. All right, let's talk about this show. So, man, I gotta tell you, the ending of the show. I liked the ending of the show. One of the things that was really interesting is that as you're getting into season 3, things are starting to come to a head. You're like, oh man, what's going on? What's going on with Akito? Oh my god, what's going on? And then you get to this point where it actually, things kind of blow up because she stabs the one dude.
Kureno.
Yeah, she stabs that dude, and then she's gonna go like, I guess she's gonna kill Toru or whatever, but she doesn't. Anyway, she goes and talks to her, and then like everything changes, and that part was a little weird for me. It was just like
there's like the main whole thing, everything's been building to, and then there's like a ton of falling action, and then a ton of conclusion. It just, I really kind of like, there's an element of a twist, right? Because you think, for one, you think that Toru has died, Yeah.
And I almost wonder if I would have, if that would have been preferable, which sounds bad, but like
that would probably be the more adult film art mindset instead of like this thing for young adults.
Yeah, but when I was watching it and she fell, I was like, my first thought was like, oh, she's dead. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a fitting way to end it. like she shows up in these people's lives and she fixes up their lives and, you know, does all this stuff and then she's gone. But then I was like, they're not going to do that. She's probably going to live because they want this to be happy. And then she lives. And I was like, that's fine too. The thing, I have some issues with the show. I know that she ultimately got together with Kyo, which I knew from the beginning she would, because her whole thing was like, I like the cats. And I was like, okay. But it never felt like they were close. The whole show to me. It never felt like they were supposed to be together. So when it finally like built up to this point where like, we love each other, I'm like, but do you? Do you? Because there haven't really been all that many moments where you guys were like close. You know, you were close. You were as close together as Toru and Yuki were. I'm like, you know, but you couldn't have been with Yuki because the whole thing was she liked the cat. That was foreshadowed at the very, very, very beginning of the show. And then also by the third season, he's into, what's her name, Machi. Yeah. So like, yeah, you know, I don't know. I feel like there could have been a lot more done there because I could tell that they were going to be together, but he is so indifferent about the whole thing. And she doesn't really let on anything. So when you've got two characters that are like that to each other, there's very little, like all of a sudden it's just like, oh, we love each other. And then at the end, when it just like zaps ahead like a jillion years and it's like, oh, they're old. I'm like, okay. Anyway, the most, like I was saying in the spoiler-free section, the most interesting parts of the show were the little twists and, you know, learning about the weird, creepy stuff that's going on in the Soma estate. And like building Akito up as this big villain and then being like, but is she the villain? And then being like, well, yeah, she is. And then being like, but wait, her mom? And then her mom kind of just like doesn't show up anymore. There's that whole thing about the box with the dad's ashes, but then there's like, there is no ashes. And then she just kind of disappears. I really expected her to show up maybe in the past, like the last few episodes, to like something would happen.
I think there was a few things they cut from the manga, like the maid, the older lady. Mm-hmm. Like there's a point where she meets with Akito and she's like, I've lived my entire life here serving the Somas, and this is all I know, and I think I liked things better before. And Akito's like, we're stepping into a new world. I don't remember the wording, but it's like, will you join me? Like, the same way Toru brought Akito out of that shell of I am perfect, everyone loves me. Yeah. Like, Akito tried to do that for the maid. So
there's a tiny, tiny part in the anime about that.
There was? Okay.
There's a tiny, tiny part where the maid says, this is all I've ever known.
Yeah. I think there was like a little
30
bit
seconds
more
long.
That was slightly cut.
I don't know that I have. Well, okay. My favorite character is Shigure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't have to think about that very long. Shigure, and then also the other adult,
Hattori. He's my favorite.
Those two are really great. Shigure is great because he's very He's older, but he's very flippant, and he just doesn't care about anything, or at least gives off the impression he doesn't care about anything. And then what's so great about him specifically is that he is the one that starts having some of the weird conversations. Because like he'll be on the phone and be like, haha, yeah, she don't know. And be like, what is that? What is that about? What are you talking about? And like building into all the characters' backstories and learning like how they've been hurt. That's where the show's at its strongest. Is, you know, talking about all of the mental and sometimes physical abuse that like everyone has dealt with being a part of this family. Like, that was where it was, like, super interesting. That's what I really enjoyed. And then, you know, anything outside of that was just me waiting to get back to more of that, because that was the stuff that I thought was best for the show. But it is still, and there's a billion of them in anime. It was a high school drama thing, and I'm not super into that. I know that that's a big, thing in Japan, big anime thing.
Trope.
It's and like I get it, but like I don't love it, so I just dealt with that. That's good. It's kind of how I felt for the show. I still enjoyed the show, and when the show is strong, it's extremely strong. But I dealt with all of the stuff otherwise because I'm like, okay, you're in school. Okay, you got to do the thing where you're in school.
The silly cutesy stuff.
I'm like, okay, all right, but seriously, put Shigure back on the phone. That's how I felt a lot of the show. But yeah, I mean, I liked it. I still liked it, and using the last few episodes, because that was the other thing, is that I kind of felt like everything would like lead up to like the final episode, and that's not how he did it at all. Like it, like
there's like four.
There's like 4 episodes where
3 or 4
where you've already hit the climax, and it's like, oh, we're just kind of cruising down. And I was like, oh, that's not how I expected them to handle this. But that was fine. Got a chance to really take their time explaining how everyone felt about everything. And that was kind of nice too, because you are introduced to so many characters. Not all of them get as much screen time as others, but the ones that do, I mean, they did a really good job of building up like what was the problems they were having specifically in their life, and then at the end of the show, how they were doing after all of this was over. And they also threw in, I'm really glad they threw in all the stuff with the original banquet with God and the animals and stuff.
The original story that was my favorite chapter in the manga.
Because they...
Like, just that one chapter that was like, this is the promise that everyone forgot. Like, that part, that was my favorite chapter.
Because the show it's not hard to follow, but especially at the beginning when they're introducing all this stuff and all these concepts, you're kind of like, okay, but what is it? Everyone is an animal, and there was a banquet, and then it's not until the very end where they show you all of that.
Well, they tell you the story in the beginning about how there was a race. Do you remember?
Yes.
Like, that was like how the show opened, and then they flipped it back, and they were like, this was actually how it happened. And
yeah,
the reason for it all.
I'm just glad they included all of that, because that helped tie everything together, and then also better explained the rivalry between the rat and the cat, and why everyone hated the cat. They didn't even know exactly why they hated the cat. They just knew they hated the cat. So they explained it a little bit more. So I appreciated, that being present in the show.
I think my least favorite thing about the show is how at the end they have to pair almost everyone up with someone else. Like there's things that made sense. Like they've been showing Yuki and Machi get closer together, and he's helped her and she's helped him.
Yeah.
But like, it's like, oh, Hanajima's with Kyo's sensei, Shisho.
They were?
Yeah, that's why they were there together at one of those ending scenes. Like, they keep, like, pairing people off, and I'm like... There's people I understood that, like, oh, that makes sense, but there was some people that was like, I just threw them together, because they're like, oh, that character needs a buddy.
Yeah. It was fine. It was fine. But closing thoughts. Overall, I did enjoy the show. I had to kind of grin and bear it through season 1 a little bit, because I was like, but there was enough to hold my interest that eventually I did grow to enjoy it. And there's parts of the show I definitely didn't like, and I talked about that. But overall, I felt like the show was pretty strong. And it was a drama. It tugs at your heartstrings. And then also randomly there's fights and other stupid nonsense that doesn't need to be in the show at all, but whatever. It's overall I would recommend it for someone who's looking for a drama.
Yeah.
But hopefully if you're watching the spoiler part, you've already seen it. or you're just like, I have no fear and I will not watch this show. But maybe you will now. Maybe you're like, okay, that actually sounds kind of neat. It was neat. It's, and it's pretty short, so maybe check it out. Now we can cancel our Crunchyroll subscription.
Yeah.
And we can sign up for Hulu. Because we're watching the best anime next.
Are we watching it subtitled or dubbed?
Ooh, both at the same time, baby. We're watching King of the Hill. It's on Hulu. I've always wanted to see King of the Hill. I've always wanted to see King of the Hill.
I caught episodes here and there growing up because it was on before The Simpsons.
Yeah.
So I would catch them sometimes. I wasn't always home by the time it came on. So...
I've seen a lot of them.
Yeah, I don't know how many I've seen. Kind of like Seinfeld.
I have season 1 on DVD. Even season 1 or season 2 on DVD, but I don't think I've even seen all of them on the DVD. I picked it up because I was like, yeah, and I never got around to it or something. So I'm looking forward to actually watching that show. And we're going to be watching it for a while because there's 14 seasons?
Yeah, I think so. I knew there was over 10.
I bet you could. But the thing is, we'll probably actually watch it every night instead of like once a week, which is how long we were watching this. So that might. But also, this is heavy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing is I didn't really want to watch it every night. There was a lot of nights where I'm like, I just want to watch like something on YouTube. Like I don't want to watch. I liked it, but like I don't want to watch that sort of thing every night.
Yeah.
King of the Hill, I'll watch every night. That's fine. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you have thoughts about Fruits Basket, you can talk about it down below. If you are going to be talking about anything that could even potentially be a spoiler, it's just common courtesy to write spoilers in all caps and hit return a few times, and then leave your comment just for the folks that, peruse down into the comments and be like, oh crap, oh no, now I know things. But yeah, look forward to seeing how you guys felt about the show. And really, if you just want to leave one specific thing, favorite character. Objectively, it is Shigure, but that's fine if you're wrong. I'm curious to hear what your favorite character is. So Hattori. Hattori's an interesting choice because they're really not in the show that much.
No.
Shigure's in the show a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's his house.
Yeah.
It's just interesting that you chose Hattori.
I don't know. I thought his story was really cool, and
he does have one of the best backstories.
He does. And the twist about his animal is neat.
I'm just going to pretend I totally remember what his animal is. Again, it took a year. I can't remember everything about the show, man. Thanks for watching. Let's be back tomorrow, shall we?